I am 25 have been having depressing thoughts about my relationship in house with my F24 girlfriend and I don't know if I can keep going any longer. What should I do? This is my first ever Reddit post, and maybe my only one. I 25, M and my girlfriend 24, F have been together for 6 years and living together for about 3 or 4. At THR beginning it was tough we managed to keep it pretty okay. At the end of 2019 she decided to go to college and get a degree, and I supported her as best as I could. She even got a part-time job and helped out with the finances, I handling most of them. After a year or two there's been a steady decline in my mental health due to my previous job being overly toxic and physically challenging. I wasn't sleeping right, we were told we were the best team and then not a day later that our boss wanted to fire us all and just replace us. This was a constant occurrence. My mental health declined and I started stress therapy and such, with my girlfriend's help. That started around 2020, and we were happy. Soon not long after she got the part-time job, my girlfriend quitted due to the toxic environment there. It was pretty much a waitressing job and they paid her minimum tip wage. I was okay with it, as she was having anxiety attacks and such about it. I would do my best from here to support her, and she decided she would focus on school more and I again was okay with it. I was making enough money and finances were not a big issue in the house, and when she got her refunds from school she would help out here and there. Afterwards, I started noticing that we were both slacking in chores at home and we needed to keep the place clean, so our landlord, who has been a very kind woman, but a little strict on cleanliness, would not evict us, even though she hasn't done an inspection herself since the very beginning. I talked to my girlfriend and we tried to work out how to get stuff done, and let me preface this that by no means did I want her to do all the work, but she was home more and I asked if she could at least handle the dishes and I handled pick up any trash around the house. And this worked for about a month. I still ended up doing the dishes here and there, but I then began to do them more frequently. To avoid doing dishes though, she would want to purchase plasticware, which is fine and ever now and then we did, but dishes still would begin to pile up. Because of my declined mental health I began to slack, and it came to a head last year in 2023, when I had such a bad panic attack, that I thought I was having a heart attack. I had chest pains for 4 hours and had to go to the hospital. I was fine and only spent 3 hours there. I had thoughts of, and many other mental problems and I couldn't take the job anymore. I was searching and thanks to a friend I got a much better job with pay and better benefits. I even started seeing a psychiatrist and started back on ADHD medication, and all this time I had the support of my girlfriend, but at home, nothing would get done. When I got home, she would usually be on the couch, on TikTok or Facebook. I started having to do more and more stuff at home while also working, and if I asked her, "Hey, can you handle these few things for the house while I'm at work since you're home with no classes today?" I would come home to her still being on the couch, and if I sighed and let it be and I started doing the chore I had asked her to do, she would get upset with me. She kept telling me that she doesn't know why she doesn't do anything, how she has bad anxiety, and it is bad, how she's depressed and she can't afford to go to her therapist, and I've offered to pay for her stuff when I can, but she doesn't make an appointment. I try my best to endure and let her rest. I tried talking to her, and yes, we have had fights as well, because I feel at this point in time that I'm the only one doing anything to take care of the house, and when I talk to her about it she apologizes constantly and says she will do better. And then I end up feeling like a huge, if we had fought, and it wouldn't do anything, she would be back on her phone the next day, and sometimes when I got home she would be just starting the chore, and then give up 30 minutes in having to always take a break and never finish. Don't get me wrong, there were times when she did complete the chore, or she did a good bit and I would take over to be fair to her. It's not that I want her to do everything, I have my problems, I leave stuff out too, and wait last minute to clean up my trash, but I at least clean it up. She will eat and then leave a dish where it was until I got home the next day and picked it up to put into the dishes myself. When I come home she's always just there on the couch, and she would procrastinate doing her homework too. An example would be she would wait until the night it's due, panic around 8 p.m., it being due either tomorrow morning or at 11:59 that night. I would calm her, but in my stupidity after multiple times, I have chastised her about constantly doing this to herself. Well, she graduated, Laude, recently, so she did good enough and kept her grades up. And now we come to recently. Starting in the beginning of May 2024, I woke up one morning to feel indifferent. I didn't feel anything, and I knew it was a depression episode. That same week she graduated and I bought a second vehicle, which we are having separate issues with the previous owner about, kinda as a gift but also because she had been telling me she feels trapped due to her not having a vehicle and having to rely on people for rides, mainly her dad. A completely different problem, not a bad guy, but not the best guy either. I didn't want her to feel trapped. We bought the vehicle and right now we can't really drive it due to needing to get the title so we can get the tag. And whenever I get a call from the previous owner or find out a single thing about the Jeep, she starts panicking, freaking out, and I would calm her, but I also wouldn't sometimes because most of the time the problem is very trivial, like we found out there was a lien, but the lien was from when the previous owner had bought the Jeep from a friend, so it was a personal lien and she had proof she had paid it off and just never had the title fixed. But during this time, my depression got worse and worse and worse. When I would come home, I couldn't feel anything. There was one day on my way home that as I was driving in silence, my eyes began to slowly close, like I was a little sleepy, but I wasn't trying to sleep. I guess my best explanation would be road henosis, which is where the constant driving of a road and the focusing on it can cause delirium, unattentiveness, and almost block out your senses. It's a strange phenomenon that I only experienced this one time. I pulled onto my road way too fast and thankfully it was okay, it shook me out of it. But I got home and I felt nothing still. I felt a pit in me just there. I don't believe it was my meds, though they can cause depression, but this feeling started before I had taken my meds on the first day. Well, my GF graduated Saturday. We had a party and I faked a lot of smiling because I wanted her to be happy, and her dad ended up ruining that day. That's another story. After that day she was very adamant on wanting to get the Jeep ready and I did my best to do so. I got insurance and out her on mine. But we still are waiting for the title. We now come to recent events. After the first week of the depression episode, I did feel better and by the end of the workday on a Friday I was pumped up. I was happy, and probably a little crazy, but it was great to feel something again, and my job was what made me feel better. I went home and the weekend went by. My mom had come by to help us clean the house. We did pretty okay, but after that weekend the depression returned and hit worse. I started not eating as much, and I started feeling like nothing mattered anymore, and as I write this the suicidal thoughts started back again a day ago, and I told my girlfriend about it the first time. But the house has come undone again, and I am still trying to keep it maintained, but all I want to do is climb in bed and sometimes hope I don't wake up. I think it's THR house. I am usually fine at work. Well, my girlfriend still hasn't changed since AHE graduated and she is looking for a job, but only in her area of her degree, which is fine. I want her to succeed, but I asked her to try to get another job in the meantime while she waits for those others to respond. She was upset with me, believing it would be a waste of her degree, and I told her it wouldn't be if it's temporary to just help us get by, because my job has a weird pay schedule and it would help us better than care of the house. Maybe hire an exterminator to fumigate the house. She did relent a little and did broaden her search, and that made me feel a little more at ease. And I did ask her to try to take care of the house a little since she would be home, and still nothing gets done. My question, I guess to boil this down, is this relationship worth saving, or trying to salvage? I asked some people and most opinions have been that my girlfriend needs to grow up, but that's not the right mentality for someone with her anxiety problems. I just don't know what I can do anymore. I feel trapped. I'm writing this at 3 a.m. in the morning because I feel terrible and don't know where to start. I have tried talking to her, begging her to please be better, and she doesn't change. I can't handle everything at home anymore, especially now that I'm back in the heat of summer in a warehouse. My truck's water pump just went out, so I used the Jeep for 2 days and now I need a ride because one of the brakes decided to lock up. I'm falling apart and I'm wondering if maybe I need to do better. I don't want to say my girlfriend is a bad person, she's not, but she acts like a child sometimes, and is always on the verge of being upset at a pin drop over trivial matters. She's supposed to be taking meds too for all of her problems and she refuses to remember to take them. I just don't know if this relationship can go any longer or if my depression episode is clouding my judgment. And with my ADHD, it feels better to actually talk through my problem with someone, but I want this to be somewhat anonymous, so I came here to Reddit. I'm doing my best to get to my next psychiatrist appointment and discuss this with her too. If I'm in the wrong here, I want to better myself. I want to make an effort to be a better person. I just don't feel like I have the strength anymore to go on though. Edit. If this is at all biased, since I am only writing my perspective, I will do my best to answer any questions on her unbiased.